Depression is something that can happen to anybody, irrespective of their success, fame, achievement. What we used to, like in the good old days, there was a movie from Rajesh Khanna called Anand, wherein it was Babu Musha, Zindagi बड़ी नहीं होनी चाहिए, अच्छी होनी चाहिए, something of that sort. लंबी नहीं होनी चाहिए, बड़ी होनी चाहिए. That if you take it in today's context, somebody might say, okay, लंबी नहीं होनी चाहिए, अच्छी नहीं है तो खत्म कर. Worthless, helpless, and hopeless. This is the dangerous combination that we say that any depressed patient, when goes untreated, can have. Addictions in youngsters are really increasing. What we are seeing today, we never saw 10 years back.
As we all know that renowned art director Nitin Desai, who has worked majorly in Indian cinema, he has allegedly committed suicide. So, sir, we often associate frustration or failure in life as a reason behind suicide. What can lead to such a successful person, a popular person, to commit suicide? It is a little difficult to believe.
It is very difficult to believe, especially for the layman who feels that suicide is only committed by people who are not successful in their life. Now, first of all, why does then this happen? This is a very contradictory thing for anybody to understand. If we have to understand that, we have to understand what are the primary 2-3 reasons of suicide. The two most common reasons of suicide. Number one is long-standing depression, and long-standing depression can happen in anybody, in somebody who is very, very successful, in somebody who is not as successful. Depression is a medical problem. Depression is a mental disorder, which has, many celebrities have talked about it, because we are talking of Bollywood. Very, very is actress Deepika Padukone, when she was at the height of her career, she talked about how she had to face depression and she felt like not getting out of bed. So, depression is something that can happen to anybody, irrespective of their success, fame, achievement, class of society. If that depression is happening, let's say in a person that we're talking of today, and that depression is going untreated, that depression is not getting any attention, so to say, then the depression might become so severe that the person, although in the eyes of the world is a very, very successful person, but in his or her own eyes, that person will start feeling worthless, helpless, and hopeless. This is the dangerous combination that we say that any depressed patient, when goes untreated, can have. The person feels that even though he's done such wonderful artwork, that right now I feel that I'm absolutely helpless. Nobody can help me out of this situation, no matter how much work I get. Although I've done such fantastic projects, art projects in the past, I still feel at this point of time my worth to myself is zero. Doesn't matter what the world thinks. My own perception of what I am is the most important thing. It's all about perception. Success and failure are primarily perceptions. Many times, suicide can also be, it also happens impulsively. Like, let's say if I have had a big project going on for me, and that project suddenly gets shelved, my brain sometimes is not able to process that failure. If you have people who have always seen the brighter side of things, or who have always had success coming their way, many times, it's not always, many times, such people do not know, their brain does not know how to fathom failure. Now, generally, people who have seen some failure through their life growing up generally develop what we call as resilience. Resilience is what? It is the ability to fight back when the chips are down. It's not how strong you are when the chips are all good, when everybody is praising you. When the things are down, that time what is your ability to fight back is resilience. And in people who have only seen success, the resilience is generally very less. So their software, their brain, in the face of perceived failure, does not know how to deal with it, and sometimes they take impulsive decisions, at the spurt of the moment decisions, in the heat of the moment decisions, that, oh, everything in my life is over, how is it possible that I couldn't do this thing? And if you are impulsive on top of that failure, you commit something that you are not thinking through.
Absolutely. Sir, from talking about, suicide from the perspective of a layman, I would like to understand that what are the warning signs?
That's a very important question. Somebody, let's say you are a concerned caregiver, family member, friend. If you notice any of your family or friend who were very, very pro-social before, who were very, very socially active before, who used to interact a lot before, and now you're seeing that their overall interaction is very less with people. They're very aloof. They're socially isolated. That is sign number one. Two is if you feel that any of your friends, who, let's say you had a friend who used to really go out and watch the movies every weekend or really liked eating food, going out. Now, things that they really, really, really used to love before, that also they don't want to do. It's like their total interest in life, even the things that were their passion supposedly, that is also gone. That's another warning sign. Three is if such people start talking about things like it's better if my life ends. What is the use of living any which ways? I just wish I had never been born. Many times we just listen to it and we feel that the person is saying it out of boredom or does not mean it. Or if we talk about it to that person, then if at all he has suicidal thoughts, they'll increase. But the very fact that he's saying this is basically an indirect cry out for help.
In the past 5, 6 years, and this has grown very disturbingly, we have seen, sir, especially youths, youngsters, they are committing suicide and live streaming it on social media, live streaming their death.
The number one reason for death in Indian youth between 15 to 29 years of age, number one reason of death is not a medical illness, it is suicide. So that is how prevalent it is. Now, why is it happening so much? Youngsters that we see today, unfortunately, have been given a kind of parenting wherein whatever they have wanted since their childhood, majority of them today are getting it. When you have one kid, it's like the entire focus of the parents is on the kid, and they try to give the kid everything and anything that he or she desires. In that scenario, the kid does not know what to do when he doesn't get what he or she wants. So let's say a 18-year-old chap has a breakup and the girl just doesn't give him any reason for the breakup and says, I don't want to be with you. His teenage brain, which has never heard no, which has not seen a failure, so to say, does not know how to process it many times. So one reason why it's increasing so much is definitely the lack of being able to tolerate a frustrating thing or a negative consequence that has happened in your life, your inability to kind of tolerate it. You're like, no, this is over, my life is over. Two, addictions in youngsters are really increasing. What we are seeing today, we never saw 10 years back. Today, we see that we get cases of addiction as young as 15, and we have to sometimes even admit them to rehabs at such a young age. When a teenage brain is subjected to any substance like alcohol, weed, marijuana, cocaine, anything, the ability to think through things, the ability to pause and reflect and see what is the best course of action. Let's say there's a problem, there might be five solutions to it. But for you to be able to find five solutions, you need to be able to pause and say, oh, this is one solution, this is another, this is three, this is four, this is five. Immediate solution might be end it all, that is suicide. But because they're not able to think through, why they're not able to think through? Because they are under the influence of substance so much that their brain can't stop and reflect. Their brain does not know how to kind of tolerate it. So, teenage brain, increase impulsivity, substance addiction, and along with that, the disconnect between parents and kids is now more than it ever was. That we can attribute to social media because a teenager follows us influencer more than his parent. He feels the influencer he can connect with more than he can connect with his parent. Therefore, in his immediate surrounding, he feels there are not enough people that he can entrust with his deepest secrets. And if I don't feel that I can confide in 10 people or confide in two people and tell them anything and everything that I want, then if something really horrific happens, I feel there's no way out. I feel the only escape is end it. So these three, four factors, the ultra nuclearization of Indian families, increased substance abuse in kids, kids not knowing the meaning of no or the meaning of failure, and always getting what they want, and that too instantly. It's not that even you have to wait for something.
And to add one more thing, sir, I have been brought up in a joint family with dada, dadi, chacha, chachi, bua, and all, which today's children probably cannot even think of. So, which you were just speaking, ultra nuclearization, I could just so relate to this. That
Yeah, it is true. It is true.
Is there a loneliness somewhere?
100% there is a loneliness, because even when you have a nuclear family, many times both the parents are working, and therefore some of the guilt that the parents have of not being able to give enough time to their teenager or their child, they are trying to compensate it through materialistic things that they're giving to the child. But the void is emotional. You can't fill it up with materialistic things. It's like if the void is material, you'll fill it up with a material. But the void is like, I want to put in water there, I can put a sandwich there. So the problem is emotional void, which is trying to be filled by material things, which is leading to a very, very wrong, vicious cycle. So the emotional void keeps on increasing and the material needs keep on increasing. But even when the material needs and how they're getting fulfilled is happening, it's not resulting into this emotional fulfillment of needs. Kids are then going on social media. On social media, you have 10 channels which are even glorifying suicide. Social media, there's no regulation at all. So you have people on social media who are saying, oh, suicide के लिए बहुत हिम्मत लगता है. You have people who are saying, why do you even want to exist? There's no purpose to life, so might as well end it. Kids do not have, unfortunately, the strong emotional connect, or teenagers do not have the strong emotional connect that used to be there in a strongly knit system that kind of we people grew up in. Even I grew up in a joint family that we people grew up in. But sadly, it's missing. But that's the reality. Now, what we have to do is we have to try and create societies. Let's say you stay in a society. So the 10 people that you are interacting with in the society, they have to become your guardians. That's the new normal. At least you have to try that, because we going back to a totally joint family system seems almost impossible the way our ecosystem is working, and that's okay. You have to find a solution in the present nuclear system wherein you have schools, colleges making talk about mental health very, very accessible, getting that help very, very easy, taboo free. Even if that happens, I think the youngsters who are doing these things will automatically reduce. And yes, as far as the elderly population or adult population who are doing these things, like we're discussing today, that is again basically happening because long-term depression is not addressed, substance abuse is too much, and therefore your ability to think rationally goes for a toss. Whenever there's substance abuse, you are thinking out emotionally, you are not thinking out logically. It's like A, B, C, D नहीं होता है. When you're doing substance, A, B, D, Z भी हो सकता है. Your brain doesn't think logically. The emotional brain takes over, and then you make horrific decisions.
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable inputs.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
It's so nice talking to you.